Okay, I think it's okay for me to start talking. Hey, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to my channel. Um, if you're new, thanks for stopping by. If you're coming back, welcome back. I really do appreciate you. So today is Atheist Church, and we're going to let's get biblical. Today we're talking about Christianity as a false religion. Hey, Big Zebra. And this is written by Rabbi Tovia Singer. And, you know, I, of course, for the full effect of it, you're going to have to buy the books. There's two of them, volume 1 and volume 2. But today's subtopic is why did Isaiah 53 emerge as the most debated chapter in Christianity? Okay, so basically, um, Isaiah. Okay, so basically, if you look at Isaiah 52, it'll tell you who the servant is. Now, keep in mind that chapter divisions are arbitrary. There are no chapter divisions in the original. Hey, Lisa. But you will, if you, like I said, if you find Isaiah 52 and read it, it'll tell you who the servant is. And it is not Jesus. Okay. In fact, let me go ahead and bring it up. Sorry, didn't think I was going to bring it up, but I might as well. Okay. So let me just get over here and let me share the screen. Selena, on this one, I'm not quite sure. There are other servants, that, for sake of argument, I'm going to say God refers to. There are other servants, but usually when he's talking about servant, he is talking about Israel. But there are other people he calls servants. Yes, it is a scam. All right. So let me share my screen. Hello. Hang on. Never mind. For whatever reason, doesn't want to share my screen, so I'll just go ahead. But it says there 52 to 53 if you want to uh, um read along, and it's from the NIV. Awake, awake, Israel! Awake, awake, Zion, which is Israel. Clothe yourself with strength. Put on your garments of splendor, Jerusalem, the holy city. The uncircumcised and defiled will not enter you again. Shake off your dust, rise up, sit enthroned, Jerusalem. Free yourself from the chains on your neck, daughter Zion, now a captive. For this is what the Lord said: you were sold for nothing, and without money you will be redeemed. For this is what the sovereign Lord says: at first my people went down to Egypt to live. Lately Assyria has oppressed them, and now what do I have here? Declares the Lord. For my people have been taken away for nothing, and those who rule them mock, declares the Lord. And all day long my name is constantly blasphemed. Therefore my people will know my name. Therefore in that day they will know that it is I who foretold it. Yes, it is I. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news, who proclaim peace, who bring good tidings, who proclaim salvation, who say to Zion, your God reigns. Listen, you watchmen, lift up your voices. Together they shout for joy. When the Lord returns to Zion, they will see it with their own eyes. Burst into songs of joy together, you ruins of Jerusalem. For the Lord has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem. The Lord will lay bare his holy arm in the sight of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth will see the salvation of our God. Depart, depart, go out from there, touch no unclean thing, come out from it and be pure, you who carry the articles of the Lord's house. But you will not leave in haste or go in flight, for the Lord will go before you, the God of Israel will be your rear guard. See, my servant will act wisely, he will be raised and lifted up and highly exalted. Just as there were many who were appalled at him. Okay. So yes, Selena, it is Big Z. It is Israel. Now, like I said, sometimes it's talking about other people, but this time it is talking about Israel. So let me go ahead and go on with this. His appearance was so disfigured beyond that of any human being, and his form was marred beyond human likeness. So he will sprinkle many nations, and kings will shut their mouths because of him. For what they were not told, they will see, and what they have not heard, they will understand. Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain, like one from whom people hide their faces. He was despised, and we held him in low esteem. Surely he took our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquity. The punishment that brought us peace was on him. Okay, I'm going to stop reading right there. Hey, Limited. Nope. All right. I think pierced is a mistranslation. Okay, what the rabbi says here is kings of nations are speaking here in astonishment because of what they will witness. Yeah, I was reading Isaiah 52 and some of 53. The astonished and contrite world leaders wonder aloud in their dazed bewilderment. Okay? So the humble kings of nations, that would be 52 verse 15, will finally grasp and confess that Jewish suffering occurred as a direct result of our own iniquity. Chapter 53:5, that is the depraved, reckless, I'm not going to say that, rather than, as they previously thought, the stubborn blindness of the Jews. So basically, what he's saying here is a lot of people think that God is punishing the Jews because they rejected the Messiah. But that's not what the chapter is actually saying, you know. So, so who is the servant? As Selena pointed out, it is Israel. Isaiah 41:8-9. Okay, and this is like, this is in the whole section. You, Israel, are my servant Jacob, whom I chose, the seed of Abraham. So, this is an entire section devoted to Israel. Oh, what mountain is that, Limited? Okay, so this is what's called a servant song. And like I said, there are chapters in Isaiah identified as the servant song. Okay, the rabbi says, missionaries contend that the repeated references to the servant in the singular as he and his in Isaiah 53 prove that this chapter is speaking of a single individual rather than the nation of Israel. This argument collapses when the entire context and surrounding poetic motif of Isaiah 53 are examined, which has been my point all along. You can't read things out of context. You have to read them in context. Christian commentaries all concede that the chapters which encircle Isaiah 53, which is Isaiah 52 and Isaiah 54, describe the Jewish people as a single afflicted individual. Let that sink in. Christian theologians admit that Isaiah 52 and Isaiah 54 talk about Israel in the singular. Hey, purple rhymes with orange. So if we have Isaiah 52 and Isaiah 54 talking about the Jewish people in the singular, and Isaiah 53 is right in the middle, and there is no and Isaiah or whoever wrote Isaiah 53 does not say, okay, I'm talking about somebody else. Why do Christians believe that Isaiah 53 is talking about an individual? If Christian theologians themselves concede that Isaiah 52 and Isaiah 54 are talking about Israel and not an individual person. Let's see. That's in Arkansas, isn't it, Limited? They also conveniently forget that in Isaiah 53, they forget that there's both singular and plural. In Isaiah 53. So, anyway, moving on. Isaiah 53, verse 9, and he gave his grave to the wicked and to the wealthy with his kinds of deaths, because he committed no violence, and there was no deceit in his mouth. But the KJV changes it and says, and he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. Okay, so this is the verse above all others in Isaiah 53, above all others, that crushes the idea that Jesus is the servant that Isaiah is talking about. You ready for this one? Yeah, it is, Selena. It is. It really is. You ready for this one? This is in Isaiah 53, the very chapter that Christians use to say Jesus is the servant. And this crushes that claim. Isaiah 53, verse 10. And the Lord wished to crush him. He made him ill. If his soul makes itself restitution. Okay. So, first of all, why would Jesus need to make restitution? If Jesus is the Messiah, why would Jesus need to make restitution if Jesus was sinless? But that's, anyway, that's another topic. If his soul makes itself restitution, he shall see his seed. In other words, his children. He shall prolong his days, and God's purpose shall prosper in his hand. Who were Jesus' children? Hey, Stuffy Wuffy Kiffs. Who were Jesus' children? They seem to just, pluck that out. I don't know. Okay, then he says, this is the rabbi speaking. If Jesus was God, as the Trinitarians claim, how can God promise God a long life and children? Why would God even need to promise God a long life? I mean, if you take this belief system at face value, which you shouldn't, but if you do, God is eternal. So, and Jesus, if he was even real, died at the age of 33, which even back then wasn't very old. People generally lived into their 50s. And why would God bless himself? That doesn't make sense either. The Hebrew word used for seed in Isaiah 53:10 is, I don't know how to pronounce that word, but it can only mean biological children. Biological children. That's what the Hebrew word means. So, it just, like I said, they don't read their own they don't read their own book. And here we see in Isaiah 53:12, God is going to allot the servant a portion. Therefore, I will allot him a portion in public, and with the strong he shall share plunder, because he poured out his soul to death, and with transgressors he was counted. And he bore the sin of many and interceded for the transgressors. Okay. So Was Jesus allotted? Yeah, I know. I know, Selena. That's what I was taught too. But the Hebrew word can only refer to biological children. So, when did God allot um, a portion in public to Jesus? Oh, this is good. You're going to love this one. There are two prominent annotated Christian Bibles. Two prominent annotated Christian Bibles. Who say outright that the servant in Isaiah 53 is speaking of the nation of Israel rather than Jesus. Two prominent annotated Christian Bibles, the Revised Standard Version and the New English Bible. The Christian commentators in both of these conclude from the surrounding chapters that the suffering servant can only be speaking of the Jewish people. And that's what I've been saying all along. Okay, so what is the rabbinic interpretation? So now we know who the servant is not and basically who the servant is. So now we have the rabbinic interpretation of Isaiah 53. Hey, Satan's little helper. And of course, the rabbinic interpretation is the servant is Israel, which all you have to do is look at it in context and you can come up with that explanation on your own. It doesn't require any it doesn't require any commentary. It doesn't. Okay. Um so it's talking about Isaiah 53 is talking about the servant is bruised. Okay, so what are they talking about, Well, I mean, he's talking about Isaiah, if he wrote this, is talking about um the unexpected salvation of Israel. Um Origen, which I have a show on Origen, an edited video on Origen. He was a prominent and influential church father. He was also very rash, but not going into that. In the year 248 CE, this side of quote unquote Christ, otherwise known as Common Era, he Origen conceded that the servant was the Jewish people. And this is what he says. The Jewish people, quote, or wait a minute, hang on. Quote, Isaiah 53, quote, bore reference to the whole people regarded as one individual and as being in a state of dispersion and suffering in order that many proselytes might be gained. Because they were scattered among the quote unquote heathen. So, yeah. Bam. And, I don't know why they insist on going to Isaiah 53 to prove that Jesus is the suffering servant. Because it's not. He's not. It is the nation of Israel who is the suffering servant. And this is what you have to see. This is when you talk to your Christian friends, and they take you to Isaiah 53, right? And they say it's talking about Jesus. Tell them to read out loud. Don't trust them to go home and do it by themselves. Okay? Because they probably won't do it. Tell them to read out loud Isaiah 52. And Isaiah 53. I think so, Selena. So, yeah. If you read it in context, you see, this is what I can't understand. The Christian church, no matter which Christian church, okay? The Christian church is just shooting themselves in the foot. It's just like with what went on I'm not going to talk about it. But what went on these past 2 weeks in America? Christians shoot themselves in the foot. Okay, Selena. And that's a good thing. Hey, shoot yourself in the foot all you want to. Because the sooner you shoot that foot off, the sooner people are going to realize that there is nothing but a fucking moron behind the curtain. So yeah, shoot yourself in the foot all you want. You know, I can't see, and I may be wrong, but I can't see Christianity lasting another 1,000 years. I mean, I really can't. So, yeah, the Christian Bible has mistranslated stuff. The New Testament, the Greek scriptures, have ripped verses out of context to support their claim. Let me ask you something. If Christianity is true, why do they have to lie? I'm talking about the leaders here. Why do the leaders have to lie if Christianity is true? Because if you have the truth, you shouldn't have to lie. But they do lie all the goddamn time. And that's where I'm going to stop for today. Thank you very much. I have my new debunk out for channel members. Remember, you can become a member for as little as 99 cents a month, only if you are financially secure. Also, you can do a one-time donation on PayPal. I also now have set up a Patreon, although I'm not doing much with it right now. I'm waiting to get at least some patrons. And, you know, so yeah, give the video a like or a dislike. It helps a lot. And put comments down below. I love reading all your comments. And it also helps the algorithm. So anyway, Selena, I have a series on Hinduism. You'll have to go back in my library, but I have a series on Hinduism. Hey! Hey, you're welcome, Zebra. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.